Hi, welcome back to Introduction to Lincoln Douglas. Today, we're talking about different types of proof for your value, your criterion, and your contentions. Contentions will probably boot off till the next session. So far, what you have in this case construction is you have a value, a criterion, and contentions. We've walked you through an easy step-by-step instructions to get a value, criterion, and contentions. That means the hardest part is done. Now you just have to figure out how to prove what you already have. Most of what you'd say for a value or a criterion applies to contentions. So let's go ahead and just look at a value and a criterion right now. How do you prove a value? It's a good idea to start by remembering what a value is. So it's a value. A value is normally the main goal of your case, the main goal of your argument. So you have to prove that your goal is the best goal for the round. All right, how do you do that? A few ways. You could argue that your goal is fair for both sides. So in other words, both sides can achieve your goal, and then you'd just be arguing that your side of the resolution achieves your goal better. So that's one way to do it. Your goal is fair. You could argue that your goal is the most important goal. These is difficult to do with a lot of goals, a lot of values, but with a value like life or human rights, you can oftentimes make the argument that life or human rights is the most important value. If your resolution tells you who's doing the valuing, then arguing that your value is the primary goal of that agent isn't a bad thing. That was a mouthful. Let me explain that. So for example, our pretend resolution says that governments ought to value safety over liberty. So the actor, the person doing the valuing, is the government. The government is doing the valuing. So if I wanted to argue that my value was the primary purpose of the government, I could say the primary purpose of the government is to protect human rights. And then I would have argued that my value is the primary goal of the agent, the actor who's doing the valuing. Now, a quick note, those are sort of three ways to prove a resolution. Here's a way, or to prove a value. Here's a way to not prove a value. It's fine to quote philosophers or experts agreeing with your value and saying, yes, this ought to be our goal. Just remember that isn't proof. Why? Think about it. Say you quoted Thomas Jefferson, I don't know, saying that human rights are the most important value. What does that prove? Nothing. It proves that Jefferson thinks that human rights are the most important value, which is great. Maybe that lends credibility to your argument. Maybe it says, okay, we need to maybe take this argument seriously. Jefferson was a smart guy. We should take this argument seriously. But it doesn't mean he's right. All it proves is that Thomas Jefferson did in fact think that human rights were the most important value. For your criterion, that's how to prove a value. For your criterion, all you have to prove is how your criterion achieves your value. And this is really easy to do. You can do this by pointing out examples of how your criterion has achieved your value in the past, historical examples. You could explain also how your criterion is built, it's sort of constructed just because of how it works. It's going to achieve your value. Those are two ways to do that. That's a lot. If you don't feel like you have a perfect grasp on it, that's okay. Go back and watch the video again, try to familiarize yourself with this, go over your notes. For your homework, go ahead and fill out your value and your criterion. Now, what do I mean by fill out here? This means write down in full everything you are going to say in the debate round underneath your value. So in your first speech, in your constructive, when you explain your value, you need to write out everything you are going to say. Don't write in bullet points. Don't do just little notes. Write out everything you're going to say, full sentences. And within that, go ahead and include some of the proof, both for your value and your criterion. Next time, we'll start to go over proof for your contentions.